As you know, I'm building my Typhoon with the engine exposed, and according to page 7 on the instructions, I'm building this one here, which is option number 1. And for option number 1, looking further on in the instructions, I have to do some surgery to the model itself. I need to remove this front portion of the kit. Now, on the airframe itself, they've thoughtfully given you a cut line. So to actually separate the two halves of the kit can be fairly straightforward. So if I can just highlight the area that I'm going to take off, everything with a hash on it is coming off, and it'll be the same on the other side. So when I build her, all that lovely engine detail will be exposed. Now, to make the cut, I'm going to use my razor saw. This thing here, it's a very fine blade, not very particularly expensive, about 20 quid I think for the saw and a few blades. I've had this one for a long time, and you may have noticed in some of my other builds, these are what the blades look like themselves, and you can use these for rescribing, which I do on a fairly regular basis because they're very thin and they're very easy to manipulate. So what I'm going to do for separating this, just plonk that one out of the way, is really very easy. I'm just going to get the blade and just run it in the groove, not applying very much pressure, and just gently cut away until the two halves separate. Then obviously what we can do, once we're happy that we've actually cut it through, we just get our files and square it off. So it's really not difficult, because like I say, Airfix have really done the work for us, which is really great. So after about 10 minutes with the razor saw, here we have the finished product. Because of the guidelines on the front fuselage, cutting it off was very straightforward. Even a cag-handed model like me didn't have any real issue. I just took my time, I used a razor saw, I just took my time, and it came away very smoothly. Now I've mocked the fuselage together, so you've got the underbelly and the two fuselage halves. I've added the tail on this particular one, and I've installed the tail wheel insert. But as you can see, it looks really great. And looking at it, you think this big hole here is for the cockpit, and you think, oh fab, you know, the cockpit's going to sit in there, you're going to see loads and loads of detail, the engine's going to sit here, you've got the oil tank, or sorry, the fuel tank will go into this part, so we won't be seen. That's going to look really great with all the detail. However, to finish off this particular part of the aeroplane, you have to add two side consoles for the cockpit, and here they are. Now if I can just try and mock this up for you, I just want to show you the amount of detail you're not going to see within the cockpit. If I can just get this in without it falling apart. There we go, that'll do. So basically, when you put the two side consoles on, this is the only area that you have that you're going to see any detail within the cockpit. Now the cockpit's got quite a lot of stuff going on in there, and with all Royal Air Force aircraft for the 40s, the 50s and the 60s, the cockpits weren't particularly well designed. They weren't ergonomically designed for the pilot. So basically you've got black instruments on black consoles with black boxes, with black cables. Everything's black. Everything was painted black. There was very little colour within the cockpit of an aeroplane of this particular period, and the 50s and the 60s. And as modelers, that causes real issues, because I spent a long time detailing that cockpit and I want it to be seen. So I'm guessing about 8 years ago when I first started this kit, I had the same idea. So I bought a second 1/24 scale Hawks Typhoon. I think it was one of those crazy, I might have had a little bit of a drink, eBay purchases. I think it cost me about 80 quid. It was a lot cheaper than it should have been retail. And I bought a second kit. And what I did to that particular kit, if I can just grab it and just plonk this out of the way, is I actually modified it further still. I cut away, if I can just grab this one here, I'll show you what I cut away. Oh, excuse me. I cut away these side consoles and this fairing that goes over the fuel tank to basically allow you to see a lot more of the cockpit. So these side consoles here will still fit very, very well, but as you can see, you actually have a lot more light being shone into the framework of the cockpit. So I think from here on, I'll put this one to one side and use it maybe for a diorama. You could do a crash diorama, because I've got all the bits to make another aeroplane. But I will use this for something totally different, so I'll put that to one side. And I'll carry on my build using this more modified fuselage. I think the accessibility that will give me to the cockpit is going to be far superior to the other fuselage halves. So my plan from now is I'm going to put this to one side, because I can't really go much further with the cockpit. The cockpit is finished, it just needs installing into the fuselage halves, and to do that I need to build up the gun bays, make the wings, and then put this lot together. So this will be being put to one side. I will paint or detail the side panels. Again, there's not a lot to do with this really. I'll give it, it's had a black base of XF1. I will spray dark German grey, I think it's XF66, straight down at right angles to it, just to create false shadow. I will pick out any detail that I want to pick out, give it a flat coat, give it some washes, just trying to make give the depth of the sidewall a bit more oomph, if you know what I mean. So that's one half. This is the other. Again, just a little bit of detail painting, just to try and really highlight the black on black of the switches. For the IFF box here, I do have the Edard detail set, and I will use that just to try and tart that up a little bit. But other than that, it is going to be black on black, and I think, like I say, having the side panels removed, hopefully you'll be able to see it. So next time you see me, well, hopefully the next time you see this, I'll be working on the wings and guns.